are as a church. And our reading is in Revelation 4, 5, 6, and 7, I believe, this week. So it's so great to just see the visions that John had, that Jesus revealed to him, and how sometimes we get so caught up in what to expect in the end times, and we don't even know if we'll live through them. But I pray that I'm in heaven and I don't have to worry about all this, and I'll be with Jesus. So that's the great thing. But just knowing that Jesus is just trying to reveal himself and his majesty, and that he is the ultimate conqueror for us all. And that's exciting for me. But today, John comes in this vision, and he has this scroll. He sees this scroll with 7 seals, and how there's no one there worthy to open the scroll. And then Jesus presents himself, and he is the one that can open these scrolls, and the seals, he can break the seals. And I think about what a great, mighty King, a great Savior we have in our life, and how many times we just try to look at the signs of the times and what's going on around us and trying to make sense of it, when all along, all Jesus wants us to do is just look to him, because he is our answer to everything that we need in life. And that was just such an encouraging word for me and for my heart today, and I pray that it is for you. And I'm excited to share this well chat with my friend, Miss Debbie Parker. And she just exudes that kind of life to me, that just seems to look for Jesus, to be looking to him for answers. And I'm excited for her to share her heart and her story and about her family with us today. So, Miss Debbie Parker, thank you for joining us. Would you just share a little bit about yourself with all of our friends who are with us today?
Okay, well, thank you. As Candy said, I'm Deb Parker. I go by Debbie, Deb, or Deborah. Like, I have people who call me everything, and it's all fine with me. So the people who've known me for years call me Debbie. The people who've known me just the shorter time usually call me Deb, because that's what I introduce myself as now. I think I ran into a lot of Debbies at the school that I began working at. And so I decided, well, I'll go by Deb because it's shorter and just easier that way. But I am originally from the North. I'm a Yankee, so I felt like I have to start off that way. I grew up in the North and came down to Georgia for college, and loved it in the South. And the Lord saw fit to keep us and to keep me here. I am married to Cole Parker, and we have 3 kids. They are 12, 11, and 10, and I teach 2nd grade at Banks County Primary School. And so, that's about all to me right now. Like, between family and work and the church, I don't often have time for a whole lot of other things right now at this season.
Yes, you're a very busy wife and mommy, wife of Mr. Cole Parker, who is like, I don't know, if he had more hair, I think it'd be on fire, because like the speed I feel like he travels is just on fire all the time. And then your kids being consecutive ages, you said 11, 12, and 13. Is that right?
12, 11, and 10. 12, 11, and 10.
Oh, okay. 10. Yeah. Wow. So, having those little doorsteps, like, I can't imagine what that life was in that season of being a mommy when they were little.
Yes. Well, thank the Lord I was able to stay home that time. So
great. And I guess that was a fun fact about Debbie that I don't know that I knew, that you were really, so is it Pennsylvania that you're with?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken on a good Southern accent. I wouldn't have picked you out being from the North. So you fit in well here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I like it here for sure. It's one of those things where it's like, with some people, I'm not quite Southern enough. Like, I'm not quite here long enough to be like homebred, but up North, I'm no longer a Yankee to them at all.
You have been poisoned, maybe they would say. I think you would have been sweetened by being in Georgia for a good little while. So when you were in Pennsylvania, was it a big city, or was it country, like rural area?
I grew up in Lancaster. So the fun thing about Lancaster County, like, a lot of people have heard of it for the Amish. So you have a lot of rural with the farmland and the Amish. And a lot of tourists come into that area, but you also have Lancaster City right there. And we lived about 10 minutes outside of the city. My dad worked in the city. So like you had the best of both worlds, I thought. Like you could be as country as you wanted or just have all the conveniences as close as you wanted to.
Well, being in Banks County, I don't know how much more rural you can get.
Yes, but we love it.
I grew up there, so I can say that in the heart of Banks County. So tell us a little bit about how you and Mr. Cole Parker met.
Okay, sure. We actually met in college. Cole had been in Florida for high school and then went up to Georgia for Tacoma Falls College. And I grew up in Pennsylvania, like I had said, but came down to TFC. And he was 2 years ahead of me in school, but there was a friend of his that he knew who I had met, and he wanted to kind of set us up. But it was really funny because this guy didn't really have trustworthy like opinion on girls, so Cole didn't trust him at all. He did not feel good about that, and nor did I. So we let him introduce us and just kind of got to know each other a little bit that first semester. But after that first semester, it just took off, and I knew. And you know, Cole, you said it, hair on fire kind of guy. He's always been that way. And working a job in the evenings, every evening on a mini shift to pay his way through college. And so, like, he was kind of that mystery guy a little bit on campus, which was really nice. He had that air of mystery. And a lot of girls were interested in him, but he paid no attention to any of them until I came along. Which made me feel so great, of course, like swept me off my feet, totally.
That is awesome. You took him off the market, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And I'm sure he's grateful for it because he got a very good wife for sure. And I think about you, so you've got your full-time educator and elementary school, and then you've got these children who are consecutive ages, and I'm sure they're never bored. And then you're the wife of this busy husband who's in full-time ministry. How do you juggle it all? What's that life like?
It's messy. It's a lot of prayer. I think, well, the beautiful thing about being in education is you do have those set breaks and planning times, like just times to recover and recuperate. And being on the same schedule as the kids, it's really such a blessing. It helps us a ton and gives a lot of flexibility then. And then the church, honestly, Cole has a lot of flexibility that he can pull upon. So, I mean, we can't complain. It's been wonderful for us all.
That's great. That's good because it could present itself as being pretty chaotic, and it does. It takes both, and I think that that's so important for married couples to realize and to depend on one another is that we're better together. And that's a value that we have at Southside. It's one of those real rules that we have, and we say that we are better together. And I just think for Jeff and I, we have to tag team a lot. We have to, as your children get older, you'll learn that you can depend on them too. So we have that 21-year-old that helps with car rider every once in a while and getting one to and from this or that. So we're definitely better together. Well, tell us, so we're about to embark on a new journey at Southside Church. We're about to launch our very first campus, which we are very, very excited about, in Commerce over in the Tanger Mall area, just down from Walmart there. The walls are going up. There's studs there. Sheetrock should start in about a week. So it's really exciting and kind of rolling well here, coming down to the wire and getting close to a day that we can reveal that we're going to start. But I know for Jeff and I that our heart is so excited to have you and Cole Parker lead this mission that we have in Commerce. And when we started dreaming about having a multi-site campus, another campus somewhere, there were two stipulations that we said that we needed in a person to be able to go and be a campus pastor, and that it's one, that they are a shepherd, and two, that they are a gatherer. And I just believe that that describes you both. It describes Cole, but I feel like in my heart that it describes you as well. You just love people. It's just like every time I see both of you, you're just kind of gathering and talking to people. And I know that you care for people. And so that fulfills both of those roles and responsibilities so much. But we're excited to have you both and go into commerce and lead that church there. But tell us a little bit. I know for if it were me going to commerce and being a part of that church there, I would be interested in knowing a fun fact about Cole Parker. Can you share with us a fun fact?
I can share a fun fact. I could share a couple fun facts. The one fun fact is it's kind of a weird fact, honestly. Cole's dad is named Ronald, and he has no middle name. So he's Ronald Parker. And so on his birth certificate, no middle name. Well, so the firstborn son was named Ronald Cameron Parker. Well, along comes Cole, and I guess his mom didn't want to leave him out of the family name. So Cole is actually Ronald Cole Parker. So Cole is his middle name. But so both of the boys have the first name of Ronald, but have never, ever used it at all.
That is funny. I like that. And so I didn't know that. And my dad is a Ronald. He is Ronald Buddy Hill.
Okay.
But we call him Ronnie. So does Cole's dad go by Ronald?
He goes by Ronnie.
He goes by Ronnie too?
Yeah, most of the time. Or Ron. He goes by Ron also. But
I might let that slip. Ronald Cole Parker someday.
Do it. That's what I do.
Well, we are so excited about commerce for so many reasons. And, one, Jeff and I grew up there. I can remember when there was nothing over on that 441 strip except for a McDonald's. And then I remember when the Pizza Hut came. I mean, and then all that stuff just started, popping up around there. I mean, I remember seeing all of that happen. And I didn't grow up too far from there. But Jeff and I, some of our family, my dad and his wife, I believe they'll be going to the Commerce campus, and we just have so many amazing people in our church that have driven from the Commerce, Maysville, Banks County, Madison County area to our Redstone campus that are going to be going with y'all to Commerce and start this mission there. And I know they're as excited as we are. But I just wanted to hear a little bit of your heart and what you're looking forward to seeing God do in Commerce, or what are some of the things you're looking forward
to? Number one is just the simple fact of being part of a local church. Like, it will be local for us, and we haven't had that for many years. And we love coming down to Redstone. We love coming down to the Redstone campus. But the idea of just being in our own community, I think it's just exciting for me. My kids are so excited that more of their classmates from school, more of the kids they know might be able to come there. They can invite them. And so I think a lot of it is just the excitement of bringing the beauty side, like sharing God and sharing the love of Christ, and just loving so openly to our community and being right there. And that's just part of our main excitement. Like, we're just so excited to be close.
That is awesome. I can remember, funny thing is that Jeff and I used to live in Commerce. And I mean, we lived there for about 11 years, 10 or 11 years, and commuted from Commerce down to Redstone. And then we've been here in this Jefferson area now for 4 years, and we love it here, but we still go back to Commerce. I mean, I'm the crazy person that drives back to Quality Foods in Commerce to get my groceries. And, we definitely like hooks. So we drive to Hooks to get a good hook burger too. So Commerce has a few perks for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a sweet, to me, local hometown, and to be able to know the people there. I think that that's one of the things that's so special about that area, is that it's still small. And although it's growing, it's still small, and people know one another. And it's great to be able to go to church where you live, and you can invite the people that you do life with every day to church. So what's Deb gonna do at Commerce?
I love that question because I have prayed so much about that question. I have asked that question a lot. And Candy, you and I have had conversations in the past, just about me not knowing a little bit about what I would be doing, or not really knowing how, as having a full-time job, what serving and ministry in the church and in that role of a pastor's wife, like what that would look like for me. And so that had been a lot of prayer. And I think the short answer is, first off, what will I be doing? I'll be doing anything that needs done.
Whatever it takes. That's the rule.
Yes. Wherever there is an opening, wherever there is a need, I feel like I will be filling it, like popping in and trying to fill it. But the other day, or actually a few months ago, I really feel like the Lord spoke to me and just gave me a piece about what to do as we go over to Commerce and open the campus. And it went along with, we were reading, as at the time in the church, we were reading in First Thessalonians. And what we were reading that time, Paul was writing to the church in Thessalonica, and he was talking about his love for them. And there was a verse, I wrote it down. I'm looking at my journal because I wrote it down. Verse 11, he was talking to them and he said, "For you know that we dealt with each of you as the father deals with his own children, encouraging you, comforting, and urging you to live your lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom and into his glory." And at that time, as I was reading it and praying, I felt the peace of the Lord just really putting on my heart that that's your mission. That's your role, that you're to encourage, that you're to comfort, and to urge the ladies, urge them to live a life worthy of the God who has called us. And I mean, there's nothing better than that. I love to encourage people. I love to play that role. And as a comforter, to urge us, I know I need that urging in my own life, for ladies to come alongside of me. That's what I love about small groups, and just encouraging us to stay in the Word. What are you learning from your reading? What is the Lord teaching you and showing you? And so those are definitely the tasks that I feel the Lord's laid on my heart, that I'll be leading in and looking to use and to do.
I think it's amazing. And I think every lady, every wife, every mommy, every young lady that goes to Commerce is going to be incredibly and abundantly blessed to have Deb Parker there. And I just think that I'm going to come to Commerce just so you can encourage me and comfort me and urge me in the faith. And I just think it's amazing. It just, how God puts that in your heart, and you will be amazing at that. And if nothing else, and that's the cool thing about being a pastor shepherd, is that that's your heart. And that's just, to me, how God just so simply, it's like the simple gospel, at just how he puts this passion inside of us that fuels our purpose. And you found that as your purpose. And I just think that the ladies there are going to be blessed, and by in part the men will be, because their girls are going to be encouraged from such an amazing lady who loves the Lord. And it's just real. That's another thing we say at Southside, is just be real, because fake is exhausting. And I know that that's just your heart coming forth, and that's just Deb being real. It doesn't take a lot of effort, I don't think, for you to do those things. So I'm excited. I'm so excited for those ladies there to have you. And I think about, I don't know, Deb, if you're like me, but growing up, I never never ever, confession 101 here, girls. I never ever thought or even dreamed about being a pastor's wife on any level. Youth pastor's wife, any type of minister's wife. I would have never dreamed that God would have me in this seat in ministry today. And the funniest times is when, like, we're preparing communion or maybe cleaning up communion. You think, oh, I never thought I'd be that church lady who'd be filling up little cups with grape juice. And then my kids are helping me clean it up, and we won't talk about how we clean it up. But who'd have thought? So, Deb, did you ever think that this would be an opportunity for you? And so what are your thoughts about that?
No, no, I never did. Cole, when we were dating, he was a music education major, actually. And I think he did a student teaching like his senior year and was like, no, teaching in the school is not for me. And he went right away pretty much into helping to lead worship at our church. And I think that was a role I had gotten comfortable. Like, I had adjusted to that role, him being on staff at a church or really serving in any capacity at a church. And, he did his thing and I do my thing. And I didn't really need to support him super well because it wasn't as involved. I would, serve in other areas, but no, I never dreamed of that I would be a pastor's wife. And when Cole first brought up the idea to me of the Commerce campus about that, I don't think so. And I think it was fear. It was totally fear because of what you're opening yourself up to a little more examination by others. It could be fear of what people would think. Oh, if you're doing the role right or meeting the needs that they might have. But perfect love casts out fear. So we are going against that. And I'm excited. I'm very excited for it. I just really have to talk to the Lord a lot about it, quite honestly.
That's good. And I think that, I pray that our church family everywhere, a little C church at Southside and big C church across the world, would just realize that, especially at Southside, we just want to be real and we just want to share our heart and our lives with you and give us a lot of grace because this girl needs a lot of grace, and we're just living life right alongside everyone else, and we're just doing the very best that we can. And Jeff and I realize that we've been called to do ministry and our kids haven't. Now, they may one day, that's between the Lord and them personally, individually, but they're not called into ministry yet. And so we tell them, but you are in a fishbowl with mom and dad. And so they're going to be watching you. And so our encouragement to them is just give them something good to look at. Just give them something good to talk about. And just to everyone else, just to know that we're purely human and flesh and blood, and that we need a lot of grace ourselves too. So I know that the people going to Commerce are a very gracious group of people because they've been with Jeff and Candy long enough to know that this is just still what we need from you. We need grace, but to know that each of us have our own set of shoes to fill. Like, I think that there was a time when we first came to Southside that I was like, what does this role look like for me that I'm supposed to fill? And I was not on staff. I've only been on staff at Southside for about 6 years now, and I'm just part-time still. But, it was hard for me to navigate those waters at first. And I think one day God said, I just need you to be you. And that set me free, is that he made me, and he didn't make me to be somebody else. And so that was freeing to me. But I'm excited. I know that you mentioned briefly before about the role that you really feel like God's called you to fill in commerce. And but this was a question that I had presented to you, and you can share this from part of being in ministry or from where you are in life right now, just whatever, I know that you know the answer to this, but what truly sets your heart on fire? And how do you see living that out in your life for God, and in him giving you that purpose in life? So I don't know. Did that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. What sets my heart on fire? Like, truthfully, that is a prayer, even that I've brought before the Lord many times, asking God, what am I passionate about? What work do you have for me to do? Like, I know in Ephesians it says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which he prepared in advance for us to do. Like, I believe that is true. I believe that, like, I walk in obedience with the Lord, step by step, day by day, moment by moment. He'll lead me to those things. But like, the truth is, I'm a very laid back person. And there's times, like, I'm kind of a peacemaker. I'm very chill. I'm not super passionate, like, and I hate to say that. And so I have prayed to the Lord sometimes, like, about, well, what is my passion? Like, what work do you have for me, and what do you have me to do? But I come back to this. What's the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So the greatest use of our life is to love others. And how do I show love to others? Like, one of the best ways that speaks love is through time, and through giving my time. Maybe, like, if it's to my children, through giving time to my children, through giving my time to my spouse, to Cole, through giving of my time to people in the church. And so if I have moments when I begin to doubt or kind of feel like a little directionless or like I don't know exactly what the target I'm aiming at, I come back to that truth. Like, as long as I am doing it all in love, like, I'm seeking after the Lord first and foremost, and then loving people, then I feel like I'm on target, whether I feel a strong passion in an area of ministry or not.
That's awesome. And I feel like God has us right where he wants us in
Yes.
different seasons of life. And I know right now, you're in that classroom. We're about to be in that classroom anyway. And I know that those kids in there have got to be so fortunate to be educated by someone who's living that out. And you're teaching them, and you're nurturing them. And for all the mommies and daddies that are out there that have children in Deb Parker's room, what a blessing, because their children are being not only educated, but I would say nurtured and loved in a way that honors the Lord. And I think that's amazing. So let's talk about COVID for just a minute. We are still very much living in a day and time where it's unprecedented. We don't know exactly what tomorrow is going to hold. And it feels like this has been going on for so many months now. You just think one day you're going to wake up and it's going to be gone. But, you look at the daily numbers and it's heartbreaking, really. And I'm trying to figure out how we are living, how to live in the midst of all of this uncertainty. But you've lived through this as a school teacher and as a wife and a mommy. How has COVID affected your life personally?
In the beginning, in March, I guess, when school was called off, like, we had a lot of extra time because I was at home, the children were at home, everything kind of shut down. And so that was very interesting for our family. For me, because I tend to be a little bit of a homebody anyway, I was like, ooh, it's a season of rest at the beginning. But for Cole, like, it very quickly wore on him because Cole is so outgoing. He gets energized by being around people and by meeting with people, and not being able to do that was really tiring and draining for him. It was hard. so I'm glad like we have a lot more movement going on now, a lot more normalcy in kind of the day to day. So that has helped him. Our kids, I would say, did not feel very stressed. Fortunately, we have a lot of neighborhood friends, and they were able to play with other children. We still allowed them to play with the neighbor kids. That helped us. But now for us, school is just starting soon. So we haven't quite crossed that hurdle yet. We're in the messy middle right now of getting things ready for it. The kids right now, they're just ready to get back in there with their friends. But I think they might be surprised when they start and see things are a little bit different than they remember.
Yes, so Jefferson has been back for a week now, and I know for us, I thrive on the schedule. So it's been really good for me and for my house. And I know you're preparing. You at Banks County. The kids are coming back next Wednesday. What is it like in this preparation week, getting ready to come back in a time of uncertainty?
Honestly, it's been very uncomfortable. We've had a lot of changes, and anytime it's something new and there's change, it can be stretching. And so I think that's probably the biggest word right now, stretching. There's just a lot of new, a lot of change, a lot of trying to be proactive and trying to make the wisest, best choices, but not always knowing if that really is the best thing to do. So it's just been messy. That it's uncomfortable and it's messy, but it's life. It's where we are.
It is. And I tell you, I cannot imagine the heaviness. I can somewhat because we're having to make big decisions at the church too, and how to welcome people back and how to do church on a week to week basis, and knowing that, their health and their safety is top priority. And we pray for the administration of our schools and you teachers as you go back, and just praying for that the Lord leads you in the right decisions, and that the people, the families with their children coming back will be gracious, because I cannot imagine, how heavy and pressure filled those decisions are. So we are praying for all of you greatly. Well, leave us with an encouraging word, dear Debbie, that the Lord's maybe been speaking to you and marinating in your heart.
I'm glad you said that, because an encouraging word, because I feel like what I was just saying it's really messy and it's stretching and it's not very encouraging. But it's just kind of the reality of where we're walking right now. But yet, even like, God is so good that even in the uncomfortableness and even in that messy part, like, he's present and he's so with us. And like I've heard people say very often that when you hear some of the same things over and over in your life, like, God speaks to us frequently through his word, through other believers, through prayer. And when you start to get that same message over and over, like, really listen up, he's trying to tell you something. And I just feel he's been speaking that to me the last few weeks, really, just with going back to school and reading in the book of Revelation. Pastor Jeff has just encouraged us over and over that as we read about just about John's vision and what God revealed to him, that instead of reading it as students studying and trying to figure out what everything represents and what everything might mean, but to read it as a worshiper, like to worship our King of Kings and our Lord of Lords in that. And I've appreciated that so much. That's been such a good reminder that to look to God, to turn our eyes to him. I've been listening to another sermon series, and he hit like the same things that Pastor Jeff was saying from a total different book in the Bible. He's doing a study on the book of Jonah, and the portion I was listening to was Jonah 2, when Jonah was in the belly of the fish. And that's when Jonah starts praying. He turns his eyes to God again. He cries out to the Lord. And my memory verse I've taken from Jonah 2, my memory verse right now is Jonah 2:7. And it's, when I lost all hope, I turned my thoughts once again to the Lord. And just as like things change from minute to minute, it has felt like this last week for my life. Um, what do I do? Instead of being swept away by it, instead of being upset by it, I need to turn my eyes once again to the Lord, to the one who is worthy of our praise, to the one who is holy and who wins in the end, you know? And it's been so comforting and so good. And this pastor, I love this. This went perfectly with what Pastor Jeff was saying too. But he said this little saying, which I wrote on my board at school just to help remind me. But it's, if you look to the world, you'll be distressed. If you look to yourself, you'll be depressed. But if you look to Christ, you'll be at rest. And it's all a matter of where you're focusing your attention. And that was just such a good reminder for me personally, and for a lot of my teacher friends right now.
I think that
And
I think that that is amazing. And to think about, if we look to Jesus, he will bring us that rest that we need. And in these unprecedented times that we're living in, and days that we don't know exactly what tomorrow is going to hold, and we have lots of questions, all we have to do is look to Jesus. And I know that for you and Cole, that's a great, great task that we all have before us in leading the church, and you going back into the schools and leading those little boys and girls every day. And sometimes that could feel overwhelming. Anyone's life on any given day can feel overwhelming. But what an incredible word that when we look to Jesus, he brings us the rest that we need. So, to my friends out there, I just pray God's peace over you and that you will find him today. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.